Welcome to episode 5 of For the Nation podcast. This is your host, Mike Wojcik. And so now let's introduce our guest. He's a culinary crusader, a magician with the meat, Chef John Pannell. I had a really great time with Chef John. We talked about how he got into the culinary art scene, ultimately working his way from the Northeast down to the Southeast, landing a gig with RECTEQ. That is the RECTEQ that you guys know and love. Chef John also hosts on RECTEQ's Instagram page Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard, a series called Late Night Munchies. It's a great show. He's always out cooking up something crazy. So without further ado, let's get to the episode. All right, we are live. Thank you, Chef John, for coming on. I really appreciate you coming over here.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah.
It's
great. So I know I have this little thing on the table in front of me, and we are going to get to this. This is a prize.
Okay.
A surprise, rather.
I love it.
And before we get to it, I kind of got to lay the foundation. So
let's do it.
If you could just tell the people a little bit about what it is you do and who you are.
All right, so I'm Chef John Pannell. I work for RECTEQ Grills right now. I've been cooking professionally for over 22 years. I was really lucky to find culinary arts as an avenue for me to pursue my passion. Found it young, so I've been doing it for a long time. So that's really cool. I went to Culinary School in 2001. I graduated in the top 3% of my class. I went to Le Cordon Bleu in Dover, New Hampshire. Shout out to Le Cordon Bleu. And all my friends up there. It was awesome. Loved Culinary School. Highly suggest anybody who has a passion for cooking, really check it out. You may find that it's something that you can make money at.
Awesome.
For sure.
Were you born in New Hampshire?
No. Originally, I was born in Richmond, Virginia. I still have family in Fredericksburg. Shout out to them. And my family moved here when I was young, and I grew up on the south side of Augusta. I went to a private Christian school called Ali Community School.
Awesome.
And went there from elementary all the way through high school. Graduated from there and then went to Augusta Tech for 2 years. Actually, I went to Augusta College back when it was Augusta College, right?
Yeah.
For 2 years and realized college wasn't necessarily for me. Then I went to Augusta Tech and found that, and I started cooking when I was at Augusta Tech, just trying to figure out what I was going to do, and found out I had a real knack for cooking. It just came really easy for me. So I worked at some corporate restaurants. Rio Bravo was the third or fourth real place that I worked, and just took off with them. Ended up becoming a corporate trainer, kitchen manager, and just rose through the ranks of corporate kitchen life.
Wow.
And then just got burnt out with it and was I was 19, 20 years old working, 12 hours, 15 hours a day, 6 days a week. It was a lot. But I knew I loved to cook. So I got out of that and ended up working for a French chef for about 2 years. And he really kind of started molding me into the chef that I am today, and really pushed me to go to culinary school. He's like, you need to go. If this is what you want to do, you got to go. So I was like, all right, sweet. So I went to culinary school, graduated, and I've just been kicking it up and down the East Coast. After I graduated in 2001, worked at some awesome restaurants, New Hampshire, New York. I've worked Atlanta, Florida. I've worked all over the place.
Wow. Where in New York, the city?
Yeah, in the city. It was a little Thai restaurant, a little hole-in-the-wall Thai restaurant, and it was so awesome. It was family-style Thai. Yeah, it was really, really cool. I was lucky to have my grandparents lived in New York, so I had a place to stay. So I just went and found a job at a culinary school. It was great.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
So when you were looking for jobs, real quick, when you were looking for the jobs, do you look for a certain style or ethnicity of food?
That's the name of the game for me. And different, chefs do it a different way. But the way that I was taught and that French chef that I worked under was look, you really just want to go work 2.5 years, 3 years at a place, do as much as you can, learn as much as you can, and then go to another style of cooking that you want to learn. And it's going to make you a much more well-rounded chef. So keeping that in mind, that's exactly what I did. And I've worked and I've done French, I've done Thai, I've done, like Creole, I've done, Italian. You name it, I've tried to do it.
That's all over the place.
Yeah, it really all over the place. But it really helped me become a much more well-rounded chef. And I could, you could put me in different situations and I'm good. Like I could handle myself. So yeah, it was really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So under this,
okay,
I want to first preface this. I grossly underestimated when I should have started cooking this. So it's like an hour old, which is at my disadvantage.
Okay.
But what I'm looking for is a complete, honest judgment or grade of what this is. Presentation, everything. Like, give me the full works, Gordon Ramsay style.
All right, Gordon Ramsay style. Here we go. I love it. Okay. Oh, looks like we have a ribeye here. Yep. Is it a ribeye?
Yep.
Okay, I like it. You have it's looks cooked perfectly, exactly how I'd like to eat it. A little bit between medium rare and rare. That's how I like it. I think that steak tastes the best that way. It looks like it was grilled perfectly. Got some char marks on the top. You still have the little fat pieces on the end. It looks really good. Garnished with rosemary and a little piece of garlic on a cutting board. That's classic, bro.
Pretty good?
Yeah, classic.
I'm not a chef or anything, so that I just recently in the last couple of years, I've really started to dive into cooking.
Oh, I love it.
And I don't know if this is something that's like a trend with cooks, but I'll notice we have random ingredients in our fridge or in the pantry. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I don't know, I got to get rid of this somehow. And then you just start throwing stuff together and that's pretty interesting. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're okay with it, if you want to give it a try.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I don't know where, and you could pick from wherever.
I'm going to take it from the end piece. Man, that's good.
Is that good?
Yeah, you seasoned it really well. So it's seasoned really well, not too over salted, not too over peppered. You can really just taste the steak, which is what I really like. I can't stand with a steak. You can't taste the meat.
Right.
You just taste all the seasoning. A plus, bro.
Oh man, that pumps me up. That fires me up.
That's good.
There's something about food, man, with when you just bite into something that's really good, it just makes your bones rattle a little bit.
Really
You want to
does.
do a happy dance.
It really does. Excuse me. But for me, food, it really just transcends. It takes you back. I can eat someone's apple pie, and if it's really good, it'll take me back to when I was a kid eating my grandmother's apple pie when she picked apples out of her orchard on her farm, and she would make apple pie. And that's the important thing for me about food. I really love that. It could take you back to that place, smells. And it's just like with music. It's the same kind of way. You could hear a song and it will bring you back to that high school dance the girl that you were in love with in high school, you did that one slow dance with. And food's the same way for me. It could transcend you back to a time where you're just starting to eat this pasta and you're like, man, I remember my grandma used to make this lasagna. It tasted just like this when I was a kid. And it just gives you a piece of the past that you kind of forgotten about a little bit.
Yeah, that is something about food. It's one of those few things that does, like you said, kind of transcends cultures, things like that. It's one of the most communal things I could think of. It doesn't matter what background you come from. People always gather around food.
That's it. That's it. And they've been doing it since the time began, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. And that's another thing about food, too, is it brings people together, which that's the time really when all the stories get passed down. You learn about, as a family, you learn about your past, you get to learn about what's going on in the present, and then where your family's moving to in the future. And it all happens around food.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take it back just a little bit to when you said you learned early that you liked cooking.
Yeah.
What was it about cooking that really stood out to you?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I was really into the medical profession. Mm-hmm. Thought I wanted to go in the medical profession. I didn't know if I wanted to go into sales or if I wanted to nursing or whatever, but I really was into helping people. So when I started going to college, that's what I started going to college for. And it wasn't until I got a job at a restaurant, my first restaurant, and me and a buddy of mine did. And we were both started at the same position. We were just bottom line cooks, just peeling potato, you know what I'm saying? So, but I really had a knack for it. It would take me half the time to do the same job that my friend did. Mm-hmm. And we both pretty much the same guys, It wasn't like he wasn't trying to work. I just had a knack for it. And so the more I worked at it, the more I practiced at it, the better I got. And it got to a point to where I was doing better than people that were twice my age. So I was like, well, maybe this is something that I should, look into. Because I also believe that. I also believe everybody has gifts.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody has a gift. Now, whether you realize what your gift is or not, that's on you. But you need to find out what it is. And I feel like if you use that gift that you naturally have, your life's going to be a whole lot easier in the pursuit of what makes you happy. So
that's powerful right there. That's, you know what? That's funny you said that, though, because that's kind of why I started this podcast, right? I've always been a self-prescribed jack of all trades.
Okay.
I like a lot of different things, and I get to a point where I'm good at it, but then I kind of get bored of it, or, it's just, I have this grandiose idea of when I find it, I'm going to know it. And that sounds like kind of what happened to you.
It's true.
And so the podcast is kind of a way for me to talk to people from different walks of life and backgrounds, doing different things, passionate about what they do, and,
I love it.
Just kind of explain to it. And, maybe it's something that hits me, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So. Yeah.
Well, I think it's great. You bringing people together that are passionate about what they do. It can't be, it's going to be a win.
Yeah, absolutely. And just giving people a platform to talk,
sure.
what they really feel. And
yeah, for sure.
So that's awesome. So now moving forward a little bit, you work for RECTEQ. How did you get that gig? And was it like the corporate thing where you kind of progressed through the ranks, or?
Yeah, so I had moved back to Augusta. I was living in Atlanta. I worked for the Watershed. It's kind of a restaurant up there, one of the fancier restaurants up there. And it was great. But I came back to Augusta, and a buddy of mine wanted to open up a restaurant. And I was like, after working in them for so long, I knew what it took to run them. I was like, you really don't want to do this. He had no idea. I think he was in car insurance before this. And he was like, no, I really want to do this. I was like, all right. And I've known this guy since we were kids, like 4 years old.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. I was like, well, what do you want to do? And he was like, let's do a badass, just like night restaurant, big steaks, leather chairs. I was like, no. I was like, no, buddy.
You're hearing dollar signs. That's what you're hearing.
I was like, no. I was like, first of all, Augusta has plenty of these places. I was like, we need to do something that nobody else is doing. And he was like, what about breakfast? And I was like, okay, now you're talking.
Yeah.
So we got a little place in downtown Augusta. It's called the Whistle Stop Cafe. We opened it up. We had it for about a year and a half, and we were killing it. We're killing it. We did everything from scratch. I made biscuits from scratch every morning, sawmill gravy. We did like an assortment of sandwiches, eggs cooked to order. Like, it was awesome.
Wow.
Really, it was like an old school diner.
Yeah.
Where we cook right in front of you too, had the bar stools and all that stuff. So it was really cool. And I was doing part-time work for RECTEQ, and they had a need for another chef. And so they came to me and they were like, look, we want to offer you a full-time position. And I was like, I'm in the middle of running a restaurant. I just opened this place. I've had it for like a year and a half. Like, I can't come full-time. And they were like, really, you should think about it. And I was like, I really appreciate the offer. I really do, but I just can't. I can't do this. And so then the owner of RECTEQ came down and ate at the restaurant. And he was like, at lunchtime, right before we were going to close, sat me down. He was like, look, you don't want to be here doing this stuff. Like, you're working hard. You're doing great. He was like, but you're wasting your talent. You really need to come work for me. He was like, you have a gift, and I think that you could go far doing this. So he was like, just think about it. And I was like, all right. So I was thinking about it, and then he texted me and threw a number out, and I was like, all right. Well, I was like, we're going to have to make some changes here. So at first I tried to do both for a while. I was working full time there. I'd open the restaurant, get there at like 5 a.m, work till like 9, have a crew come in, work, and then I'd go work at RECTEQ till like 5 or 6. So I have to do that for like 3 months. And it was like,
that's a long day.
Yeah, it was a lot. So we were so lucky, me and my business partner, someone offered us what we had put into the restaurant at that point, just out of the blue. And I was like, this is a gift from God, bro. I was like, we got to take this. I was like, let's take it, get out. While we're on top, while everyone's loving it, we're getting great reviews. I was like, let's just go out on top. And so that's what we did, took the offer, sold the place, and then I started with RECTEQ full time. But I have a buddy who worked with them who got me going part time. He's the marketing director, Matt Acosta. Shout out to you. They were in need of more talent, like on-air talent, doing edited and live cooking demonstrations. And he knew that this was something that I was passionate about and always wanted to do. So he was like, are you still into that? I haven't talked to him in like 5 years. He calls me and I was like, hey, what's up, man? He was like, I'm working for this grill company. Are you still interested in doing edited and live cooking demonstrations? And I was like, of course. He was like, well, come in, talk to the owner. I think we may have a position for you here. I was like, all right, sweet. So I went in, talked to the owner. And he was awesome. We hit it off immediately.
That's great. Ray Carnes, right?
Ray Carnes, yeah. Hit it off. And if anyone of y'all know Ray Carnes, he's great. He's so funny, just larger than life kind of guy. and sent me home with like 3 grills that day. He was like, just cook on them, tell me what you think, and if you like them, we'll start working something out. And I was like, all right, sweet. Cooked on them that night. Cooked like all kinds of stuff, man. Pork chops, chicken, ribs. Like I went crazy. We stayed up all night just cooking, me and my buddies. And then I talked to him the next day, and he was like, look, I would love to bring you in part-time, and we'll get you to start shooting some videos. And then we were off to the races after that.
Have you always had a personality for it? Because that's one thing I've definitely noticed on social media, man. You got a great personality.
I appreciate it. I think I've been working on it. Like it started to transform over the last couple of years. Yeah. When I first got with RECTEQ, I was a lot shyer than I am now. And, I was just learning the ropes, coming from strictly a chef background where, I'm a lively guy. I'm a lively chef, and I've worked in open kitchens before and had done private dining before for people where you're like right in front of the people cooking. So I kind of knew how to entertain and could talk to them really well. So that was I already had that, but it wasn't until I got in front of a camera that I've really realized that, like, wow, I got a lot of stuff to learn. So it's been progress, slowly but surely.
Yeah. Once you're thrown to the wolves and you got video, it's a whole nother ballgame.
It's a whole nother ballgame. Yes, for sure.
So this might speak to my ignorance of RECTEQ, but how long has RECTEQ been around? And I'm pretty sure at one point it was RECTEQ with a C at tech, right?
That's
it. Then they changed to Q because y'all started doing icers and things like that.
That's right. Yeah, they just really wanted to trademark the name, so they just figured at this point it's just a good time to just rebrand the whole thing. Let's just do it. So they switched out the C, put the Q in there, joined the one name, and and now we're killing it. We really are. We really are. I'm so blessed to work for such a great company.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the questions I was going to ask is. I feel like, and I don't know if it's just because I just got in the game now, but I feel like there's kind of been this surge in just barbecue, smoking, and just cooking in general. Like people kind of taking it upon themselves to, really get out there and cook. And I don't know if I want to say that it started before the pandemic, but the pandemic definitely kind of
pushed it into overdrive. Yeah, for sure. And pellet grills, and I told people this when I first got, like, Ray gave me that first pellet grill and I cooked on it. I was like, man, this is the grills of the future. Like, this is how people are going to start cooking on. There's no reason to use gas or charcoal anymore. Like, gas is just, it's really junk. It dries your food out. It adds no flavor to anything. I understand if you're camping or something like that, totally cool. Do what you got to do. But like in your everyday life, why, people? Like, there's so much better stuff out there. But then when you use a charcoal, and I love charcoal, and that's what I grew up cooking on, like a old Weber charcoal cooker. That's but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
You got to stack the coals. You got to lighter fluids. You got to wait for the lighter fluid to burn off. Then you got to shake the coals all down. Like or you use a stack. You just stack them all in the stack. You still got to wait for them to get all hot, and so it was a process.
Yeah.
And then they came out with the green eggs and stuff like that, and they're great too. They're really great, but it's like, who wants to do all that work?
Yeah, it takes 45 minutes to get a couple burgers done.
Yeah, who wants to do that? Like, no, thank you. So when I used it for the first time, I knew, and that's what I started telling people. I was like, look, you may not get one this year, and you may not get one next year, but eventually, in the next 10 years, 8 to 10 years, everybody's going to have a pellet grill because everybody could cook on them, and all the food tastes exactly the same. There's no variance, really.
Yeah.
And then RECTEQ just stepped the game up with using the controllers they use, and they just the stainless steel. Ray was an avid griller before he built the grill, so he had pellet grills when they first came out. And the story he tells me is that he was just like, I could do this better. Like, there's room for improvement on these grills, and they're super expensive. And he was like, the first one he bought, I think he said was like $4,000 or $5,000. This was back in early 2000s or something. So he was like, yeah, we're expensive. So he's like, I know I could do a better product, and that's pretty much where it spawned from.
Yeah, not to call out other brands, but was Traeger the original?
They were the original. Yep.
All right.
They sure were. And they held the patent on pellet grills for a long time.
Yeah. All right. So that's why you're seeing now the resurge in pellet grills and all that.
The patent came up, and several people bought the patent, and then they were off to the races. But yeah, RECTEQ's been around, I think, for 13 years. And Ray said it was like the first 5 years he was just selling grills by himself. He was doing everything. He was getting them shipped. He was dropping them off. He was taking the orders. He was doing all that. And then he said, I think it was about the 5th or 6th year, he was selling enough grills at that point where he got to bring a staff in, minimal staff, 5, 6 guys. And then that next year, the 7th year, it went from 5, 6 guys to 10 guys. And then the next year it went to 20 guys and then, 40 guys. And now we're up to like a little over 120 employees, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys have a massive warehouse, by the way.
Massive.
I got to see it during the RECTEQ Fest.
Right?
Oh, my gosh.
It's no joke.
Yeah. I've never seen so many grills in one place, man.
I'm telling you.
Got the blood flowing a little bit.
I'm telling you right now, it is definitely like Disneyland for people who love to grill, for sure.
Yeah. So kind of touching back to the whole pellet grill thing, and I don't know if this is true or not, but is cooking on propane or gas like that, does it cause any harm?
No.
Is there any like chemicals that come off it?
I think it burns, like it's safe. People have been cooking on gas for a long time. It all burns off. The gas burns off. And truthfully, at my home, like in my home, I love to cook on gas. I don't like to cook on electric, at all.
Absolutely. I grew up with gas in
Yeah.
New York, upstate New York, not the city, but gas is 100% the way to go.
Yeah.
You can keep a stable temperature. Right. It doesn't go off and on and off and on.
And yeah, stable temperature.
Glass there.
And increase. When you increase the temperature, it actually gets hot. You don't have to wait 4 or 5 seconds for it to all like. So yeah, I love cooking on gas. In my personal home, I say it. I cook on gas, but I really don't use my stove off that very often. Like I may scramble eggs in it, fry some eggs or something, but everything goes pretty much on the RECTEQ. So I can pretty much do anything on there. And the cool thing about it is that the smoke adds something, and it's an undefinable something on some stuff. Like I do sweets on the RECTEQ too. Like I made a smoked banana pudding.
We're going to go there at some point. I got a real bad sweet tooth.
Yeah, and it was good. It was really good. And the smoke added something to it. So it didn't taste like a normal banana pudding. You're like, there's something about this that's like different. Like not offensive, but like different. I'm digging it. So yeah, that's what I love about it too.
Yeah, the whole pellet grill. The old people are probably like, oh, these youngins with their new technology and all that. But once you taste something like that comes off a RECTEQ, it's undeniable.
And I'm telling you, we have a lot of people, older customers, that are the ones that love it so much because now they have the freedom to where they could just go do whatever they want to do, set the grill to a certain temperature, and know that it's not going to fluctuate, and they can leave for 2 hours.
That is huge. So you're going to hate me, I know. So like I said, I just kind of got into this game.
Okay.
I was on Facebook Marketplace and I saw a Traeger for like $200. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get something to start on. So I have a Traeger.
That's cool.
But the Traeger is horrible with keeping a temperature.
Yeah.
It'll go, like I'll put it on 225 and it'll get up to like 320 and then drop down to like 170. And I've had a problem where I don't know, what's it called? Backburn or something like that?
Where it burns in the hopper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a nightmare. I mean, the food's good when you're there and only like you're always monitoring it.
Of course.
That's the one thing.
It's still even a Traeger like is still better than having to worry about like charcoal grill or gas grill. You can still leave it, but you're right. Their metal, their stainless steel they use isn't as good. The PID controller, no PID controller. Just and that was Ray's original grill. I think he had that's what he bought was a Traeger, and that's what he was like. There's room for improvement. Like I could
absolutely
use better steel. I could fix this controller so it doesn't fluctuate so much. So and that's where the whole idea was born. It was like something better could be done.
Absolutely. Having now used a Traeger and tasting people's off RECTEQs, and my neighbor's got a RECTEQ, and there's several people around the neighborhood that got a RECTEQ, and it just every time I see it, man, it's 225, 225. 225.
That's it. No fluctuation, man. No, and that's a game changer right there. It really it is. Because really, when you can walk away from it, it really turns your grill into an oven at that point. Wood burning oven. So, it's a game winner.
That is a game winner for sure. You get that wood flavor. So let's talk about kind of how you can do multiple different things, and that's one thing I didn't know. When I first heard about the pellet grills, I'm thinking, oh, it's like a smoker. You got the wood. Right. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you could bake on there. Yeah. I've done several things where it's like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. So you do, like, breads.
Yeah, from sweets, biscuits to briskets, dude, and everything in between.
Biscuits to briskets.
That's right. You could do everything on that. We've done, as far as sweets go, I've done pretty much every pie you could think of. Pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, blueberry pie. We did a Boston cream pie. I've done pecan pies, like tarts, cakes. I'm doing I'll give your audience a little sneak peek. On Thursday, my show, Late Night Munchies, on Instagram, I'm doing a strawberry cake. So, yeah, I mean, really, because really like I said, that PID controller will hold the temperature at whatever you set it. So it's just like cooking in your oven at that point. If you're making a box cake and it's like Duncan Hines says, 350 for 25 minutes, you can make it, set the grill at 350, and you know that it's going to be okay. It's not going to go up to 400 and burn your cake, or it's going to cook uneven. So yeah, it's so nice. So nice.
So have you just lately gotten into the sweets thing, or has that always been a target of yours?
Yeah, well, so when I first got to RECTEQ, I really was trying to get my whole persona going, like how I was going to present myself to the public, and I was trying to find what the needs for RECTEQ were when it came to their edited and live cooking demonstrations. So they weren't doing sweets. Nobody was doing sweets. So I was like, this is an opportunity for me to, do something that no one else is doing. Maybe it'll get some traction. So I asked my boss, the marketing director, I was like, hey, I have an idea for a show. And he was like, all right, let's hear it. And I was like, all right, we'll call the show, Late Night Munchies. I was like, we have a lot of viewership out west, California, Washington State, Oregon. And I was like, all these guys really, when they're watching our shows, because we really hadn't done any shows past 5 o'clock. I was like, so when they're watching it, it's like, noon, 1 o'clock over there. I was like, it'd be cool to have a show that was on late on the East Coast that they could watch it at like 8 o'clock on the West Coast. And he was like, I like where your head's at. He was like, so you want to have a show at like late night? And I was like, yeah, we'll call it Late Night Munchies. I'll do sweets, strictly sweets, show people, the diversity of what they could do on the RECTEQ. And I was like, and hopefully, it may get some traction. He was like, all right, well, let's go. He's like, if you're willing to come in late and do it, then yeah, by all means, let's do this. Sounds great. So yeah, show started a little over a year ago. And been killing it every Thursday night. I go on at 11 o'clock East Coast and lay it down.
That s'mores pie, was that last week?
S'mores pie, yeah. That was last week.
Goodness gracious, that was good. Where do you come up with this stuff? That's one of the questions I was going to ask you is like these ideas and all these recipes, I guess you're pulling from your culinary background, but like how do you come up with a recipe?
Well, I mean, several different ways. One way is like we'll brainstorm, like I'll get a whole bunch of people together in the media department and I'm like, all right, like let's bang out in the next 4 weeks of shows, and we'll all sit down and we'll start just come up with a theme for each week, and then we'll just start banging out each day. Like this is what we're going to do this day, next day. Or people suggest stuff. Like I'll run into people out in the world and they're like, Chef John, I love your show. They're like, I was watching you last week and it really, I was thinking you should do hand pies next week. That would be so good. I'm like, that's a good idea. All right, let's do hand pies. Or it's just something that I've wanted to do for a long time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this s'mores pie. This is what we're going to do. Yeah. It'll be perfect for campfire week, So that's usually how they happen.
Yeah, TikTok is also, that's where I get a lot of inspiration. I'll see someone do something and I'm like, well, that doesn't look the best, but let me see if I can spice this up a little bit.
I like it. Yeah, it's the social media platforms are crazy now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And just trying to keep up with that is a lot. Yeah, I'm on TikTok too. There's a lot of good stuff on there.
You are?
Oh yeah.
I got to get on TikTok. I haven't been on. My fiance's on it all the time.
You got to get on. You got to get on the talk, man. It's fun. It's a good time for sure. For sure.
The talk.
The TikTok.
That's funny. Yeah, the sweets I think it's a good approach because you're not going to own, like, I feel like barbecue and smoking, and this is not to sound like not culturally aware, but it's mostly a man's thing.
Yeah.
It's growing for sure.
It definitely, the female population for barbecuing is definitely growing. I don't want to say that there weren't females out there already just smashing the game in barbecue, because there are. There's some ladies out there. Lene Oxley, I don't know if she's listening, but yeah, she smashes. She's out west and she kills every time. Sarah Starr in Texas, she kills. And these ladies would be very hurt if they said, but yes, the female, they are definitely growing towards more barbecue. And I think pellet grills are really helping that, because there's not a lot of mess to it. There's not a lot of gas or liquids that you have to put in. It's just like push a button, set a temperature, season your meat, put it on the grill, and then it's just a time issue. Anybody can do that. So I think pellet grills are making it a lot easier for people who haven't really been attracted to barbecuing before, or like, I could get into this.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, like, they don't have to approach, like, you could buy a RECTEQ now, and you don't have to have the primary source of it being meats. Right. That's what I was trying to say. So your sweets approach, I think, is a brilliant idea, because now you've got a whole new audience that you're you're selling to.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go for sure.
That's pretty smart. My soon-to-be sister-in-law, she went to CIA, the Culinary Institute of America.
CIA, shout out to you guys.
Yeah, she just got her degree in pastry arts or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My gosh. I didn't know. That's a science.
It is a science. It's totally different than just like being on the line and doing cooking. Totally
Everything's by
different.
weight. You're doing all this stuff.
And it's for real. They're not playing around.
Yeah.
And you got to be exact with that stuff. Yeah, it's more scientific than cooking is. Like being a chef and there's a huge difference between being a regular chef or a line chef and a pastry chef. You know, it's like being a general surgeon and being a specialized neurosurgeon. You know, there's just two totally different worlds, and they don't ever really cross. That's why you have both of them. Yeah. But yeah, I take my hat off to pastry chefs. I have a couple friends that went to CIA. They're pastry chefs as well, and the stuff they do is just so crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that you can go from like not really knowing too much about food, like she didn't really know all the science and all that behind it, but she loved to bake. Like that was her whole passion. So
I love it.
She went into it, and now she can eat a cookie and be like, well, that was over whipped or something like that. And you're like, what?
There you
How
go.
do you even taste that? Like that's an action. That's not an ingredient. How do you taste that?
Yeah, no, and she's totally right. It's because she's had cookies and made cookies that are the right way. And so she could taste like, it was over whipped because it's like tough or it's chewy. Like different applications will lead you to a different result every time. And once you get to that level, you've seen every bad result. So you know, like, okay, I put too much flour in this time, or I didn't weigh the sugar properly, or there's always going to be something for sure.
So now it's tough to bring dessert anywhere because she's like, well, she's always judging silently.
That's so funny. I try not to do that. And as a young chef, I didn't care. Like if someone else wanted to cook, I was always down. Like in food, I think always tastes better. Well, when I was younger, I thought food always tasted better when someone else made it. I didn't care. Like it just does. Like when you don't have to sit down there and cook it yourself, like, thank you, Lord. But as I've gotten older, now I'm starting to get a little snobby, I think. So now I'll go to places and I'll be like, oh, no. Like this, y'all butchered this thing. Like, come on, guys. Like, I don't ever send stuff back, but I'm going to have to send this back, guys. Like, this is that bad. Like, so, yeah, I'm starting to get a little prissy in my old age, I think.
What, like with Culinary School, and I don't know if, I assume it's probably like this also, but the chefs that are like the teachers are extremely strict, and I don't want like vulgar. That might not be the best term, but like they're very like, you screwed it up, start over, throw the dish. Yeah.
And well, they're really trying to get the students prepared for what they're going to go into. Like when you step your first day into a real kitchen where you're working the line and it's a, 3-star restaurant in Atlanta, these are how these chefs are going to talk to you. Like it's it's not a pretty place back there really. Like, and that's why I say you really need to have a passion for it, because there are going to be people yelling at you. And everything's under a time crunch. Like you're working under a lot of pressure. It's hot. It's just a lot, and not everybody can handle it. So I definitely, like when people come to me and ask me like, how long have you been a chef? I really love to cook. I'm really into cooking. I'm like, that's great. They're like, I'm really thinking about going to culinary school. I'm like, that's even better. I'm like, but this is what you're going to be in for. Like you need to realize that being a chef isn't like the easiest thing in the world. You're working every holiday, every time there's an event, you can't go because you're working, you know? You have, there like no break. It's not like you're taking a break in the middle of service. So you're on your feet for like 10 to 12 hours a day. So, I mean, these are the things like the realities that they don't really show you on the like Food Network and stuff like that, but it's the realities of being a chef. Like it is tough. There's a lot of alcoholism and drug abuse in the F&B business. And that's just because we work long hours and we like to party just like everybody else does, And so when the party's done and we're finished cleaning up or we're finished cooking for the party, it's time for us to have fun now, So it leads to a lot of late nights and early mornings, and it's a rough life. It really is. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I've been and seen some amazing, awesome, beautiful, crazy things, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but you've got to get up early and you're going to be on your feet all day and you're going to go to bed late. So just know that. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So that said, and circling back to culinary school, did you figure out, or I guess not figure out, but is there a certain style of food that you just love to cook?
That's a great question. Yes. So Culinary School, Le Cordon Bleu was classical French is what they teach you. So, which is kind of like if you can cook classical French, you could pretty much cook anything else. They teach you all the sauces, the mother sauces. They teach you all the desserts. They teach you all the knife techniques, all those French knife techniques, all that crazy stuff that you see. That's what they teach you. So I was trained in classical French, and but I grew up in the South, right? So born in Virginia, grew up in Georgia, been around all that like Southern food, which is really where my heart lies, you know, okra stews, fried chicken, hams. That's my jam. So what I like to do, my real passion is to marry the two. So to take what I've learned in culinary school, the French side, and apply it to Southern cuisine. And it's a beautiful thing when you do it. It's like elevating classical Southern dishes to like a fine dining kind of thing. It's awesome. It's really beautiful. It really is. So like fried chicken, for example. Most people make fried chicken. They get their oil. They get their chicken, they get their flour mixture and their seasoning. They put their chicken in there and fry their chicken, and it's delicious. It's beautiful. The way I would amplify that is like I take my oil first, and I only use like Crisco oil, and then I'll get like ham hocks, and I'll get lard and butter, and I melt all that stuff down and just let it stew together for probably about 45 minutes. And I'll strain all that out, and I'll use that as my frying liquid, which is like no other frying liquid that you'll ever taste, man. I'm telling you right now, it's so good.
Something fierce, man.
Right. And then I'll brine my chicken for like 2 days. I'll do it in a brine solution. Then I do it in buttermilk. Then I'll pull it out, let it dry. Then I flour it, and then I fry it. And when most of the time when I'm doing it like restaurant style, I'll fry it 80% of the way, put it on a cooling rack, let it cool down. And then when you get an order for it, you take it, you put it in the oven. It cooks to the last 20%, and it's nice and crispy. It's beautiful. Yeah.
The problem I have with frying stuff, and it's like I grew up in the North, so we don't really fry too. I mean, we fry, but it's not as prevalent as it is down here. How the heck do you know when it's done?
That's so funny. So rule of thumb is if it floats, it's done.
All right.
So but usually you can after you've fried several hundreds of pounds of chicken, you start to get a feel for it. But I tell people to get an instant read thermometer, right? So when you're frying chicken, you want it to be over 170 degrees. I like to take mine at like 170, 175, and then pull it off. And that's perfect. It'll be perfect for you.
That sounds great. Instant read, that's that like gun looking thing?
Either the gun looking thing or the one that has the little needle that you like poke into the side.
Yeah.
That's the one I have.
All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, even those are getting sophisticated with the meter. I think that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. I just saw one of those the other day. That's wild. You just leave it in there, walk away, and everything's good from the phone.
That's it.
Wow.
Yeah, and that stuff is game changer too, because RECTEQs have internal probes that you can put in and monitor with an app on your phone. You can turn your grill up, down, on, off from anywhere. Mm-hmm. So that's awesome. So you don't have to have one of those instant read thermometers. You can just look at your phone. But if you don't have RECTEQ, then I highly suggest people go get an instant read thermometer. You can find them on Amazon or whatever. But they will totally take your cooking game to the next level, because then you're not so much guessing. You could fry chicken and be like, look, it's only 135 degrees on the inside, and you just fry some more, Yeah. Fried chicken is an art form too. Like, you got to have the temperature right of the oil, and it's all about the sound of the sizzle. Like, all these things play a role in making proper fried chicken, just so people don't think that I'm crazy.
That's funny. Yeah, man, fried chicken. I made some the other day, and it was grossly underdone. I was looking at the outside of it, and it looked brown, and I was like, oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
Bit into it, and I was like, oh, nope.
You know what? So that means your oil is too hot. You need to turn the oil down a little bit, because once the oil needs to be right about 350 degrees, right? That's where you want it at, and it will fry it perfect. And like, depending on what piece of chicken you're using, it'll take about 15, 20 minutes tops. But yeah, so you want to make sure your oil's at 350. And if you pull your chicken out, it looks awesome on the outside, but it's still raw on the inside, your oil's too hot. You got to turn it down, let it cool down, and then put the chicken back in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So with the whole RECTEQ thing, and now that you're doing the late night munchies, and I know you do other stuff too, right? I just saw the other day, I was just scouring through RECTEQ, and you did a fried chicken one actually.
Yeah.
And then I see on your Instagram you did some octopus thing.
Oh yeah, octopus is my thing. No one else wanted to do octopus, man. Like,
where does that come from?
I just don't know what the aversion is. I think how it started was when we were at the our old building. we were doing a seafood week, right? And I have two other chefs that work with me. Shout out to you, Barbecue Dad Jody Flanagan and Chef Greg Muller. They are like my counterparts up at RECTEQ. So we had a seafood week, and these guys already picked the best seafood. They were going to do all this cool stuff, and like shrimp, and they got like halibut, and I was like, well, yeah, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And they were like, you can do whatever you want. And I was like, okay, well, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do octopus. And they were like, you're going to do what? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do octopus. They were like, do you even know how to cook an octopus? I was like, yes, I know how to cook an octopus. So we ordered octopus and brought it in, and I cooked it, and it was like a huge success. It was a great video. People loved it. And from there, I was like, I've done it 2 more times for RECTEQ. I'm the octopus guy now.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Barbecue octopus? What do you season it with? I didn't see.
Yeah, so I did a barbecue teriyaki sauce on it. And really the thing with octopus is you need to simmer it. So poach it. You really poach it. So you just get the liquid to like below the simmer level, and I put a whole bunch of aromatics in there, oranges, lemons, all kinds of fresh herbs, onions, and then I just take the octopus and I kind of dip it in there, and then slowly just let it rest inside it till it gets about fork tender or knife tender. I can put a knife in there and feel how tough it is. At that point, I pull it out, just let it cool down to room temperature, and then you just slice off the tentacles and then put it on a grill, like a really hot grill, and just start to char it. And it'll start charring up really nice. Baste it with whatever you want at that point. You could do barbecue sauce. You could do some kind of Asian sweet and sour sauce. Yeah. You could do something spicy. And then at that point, once the glaze is on there and it's nice and sticky, take it off, cool it down, slice it up. You could put it on rice at that point, turn it into sushi, put it on a salad, eat it with a salad. Like, it's absolutely delicious.
That sounds good. What do you use to sear it? Is that the bullseye?
The bullseye, yep.
That's a neat little grill, man. I think awesome. The next one I get is going to be a bullseye for sure.
I totally suggest getting it. It's like, we call it the weekday workhorse. That thing is awesome.
Yeah, it fires up quick. You could do everything. What I think you said 750 degrees in one of the episodes?
Yep, for sure.
That's hot.
I mean, that's hot.
And is it direct heat? Because I know that it's got some little plate with some holes on it.
Yes, so all our other models have 2 pieces of metal between the actual fire pot and your protein, whatever you're cooking. The bullseye has 1 piece of metal and is perforated. So it's really, more direct fire. And that 1 piece of metal gets hot. So any kind of fat, like if you're cooking a steak or a burger, any kind of fat that drips down is going to cause a flare, which is going to give you some char marks on your protein, which Absolutely. Is really cool.
Yeah, I got some family out in Texas, and then I got a family friend that just bought the bullseye.
Oh, nice.
And he's like enamored with it.
Yeah,
he loves it. And he's been one of those people that are like, oh, charcoal. But now,
I'm telling you. I mean, when you don't have to like take the extra 20 minutes to set your grill up with charcoal and the lighter fluid and let it burn down and all that, you just hit a button, set a temperature, it'll heat up in 10 minutes, and then you're like ready to go. By the time you season whatever protein you're going to do, you're like throwing it on the grill. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you compete with that? I feel bad for other people who aren't making pellet grills. I feel for y'all. Like, y'all are in trouble. Now, truthfully, you got to keep in mind that 90% of the grills out there are gas grills or are charcoal grills. So 10% of the grills out there are pellet grills, and we're like a small sliver of that 10%. But that 10% is going to grow. So there's a whole bunch of room. Like, we're coming for the gas and the charcoal people, we want those guys. Like, we're going to convert them. Like, and there'll always be some purists out there that have, their stick burners, their charcoal burners, they're always going to be those guys. And I take my hat off to them because that's an art form for sure.
Yeah, you're always there adjusting airflow, all that stuff.
Yeah, adjusting coals, like that's a real thing, and not everybody can do that. And I totally suggest, don't never want that to die. Like, there's amazing barbecue being cooked on stick burners and charcoal, like old, lump coal, like amazing barbecue. And it's an art form that doesn't need to be lost, like an American art form that is something we perfected, with something we do perfect. Like, no one else is doing it like we do it. But for ease, and for like, for the quality that you're going to get, the results, you can't beat a pellet grill. You just can't. You can't beat it. So we're really coming for all the charcoal people,
Yeah.
coming for all the gas people. And eventually you'll see in the next 5 years, that 10% will probably be 25 or 30%, you know, and each year it's just going to keep growing and growing until charcoal and gas grills are going to be the 10% people and pellet grill will be the 90% for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch out, gas people.
I'm telling you right now, we're coming for you.
All right, I have a question about brisket, and while you answer that, I'm going to get a Dirty Girl drink. I don't know if you want one.
Let's do it.
All right, and all right, so brisket. Why is it so hard? Why is that like, it seems like it's like the pinnacle of smoking.
All right, so brisket is one of those things that just takes a long time to do, right? Because traditionally, everybody does it low and slow. And it has a lot of fat on it and two separate muscles, the point and the flat. So, but truthfully, to do a brisket for your backyard, it's so easy, you know, like just trim some, don't overthink it. A lot of people overthink it. Just trim some of the fat off of it, season it up, and throw it on your grill, you know. Monitor it until it gets to about, 165, 175 degrees internally. Then you just take it off. Wrap it in some aluminum foil with some like brown sugar, some like, I don't know, crushed red pepper, something, what are the flavor profiles you like, put them in there, seal up the foil, put it back on the grill until it reaches 205 degrees. That's like my secret magic number I'll share with y'all. And then once it reaches 205, you pull it off, open that package up, but leave all those juices in there and just put it in like a cooler or your RECTEQ icer cooler, set it in there. And let it just cool down in the cooler and slice that bad boy up. You're going to be happy.
Yeah, so I did a brisket flat
Yeah.
first time. That was the second piece of meat that I'd ever done.
Okay.
Smoked.
Okay.
And I was just confident in it, and it came out way too tender, and it dried out real quick.
Yeah.
Why does it dry? Is it a meat that just generally dries out quick, or is it, did I do something wrong?
All right, so when there is not a lot of fat or moisture in the meat and you go ahead and cook it, really the cooking's pulling a lot of that moisture out, you know? So when you wrap it and you open up that wrap and did you wrap yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see there was a lot of liquid inside of the wrap?
Oh, yeah.
Right, so what you want to do is as it cools down, thank you.
Yes,
You want to leave it in that wrap, and as it cools down, it's going to kind of absorb that liquid. And also when you slice, like you never want to get rid of that liquid. That's like the golden juice, you know. And when you slice it, I always slice it and then put it back in that juice and then serve it out of that juice. So it never really gets a chance to dry out.
All right. Interesting. Good to know.
And the other thing is, I think it's harder to cook a flat or a point versus cooking a whole brisket, you know, especially because the butcher's already trimmed a lot of the fat off of it for you, you know. I just don't like doing it like that. If I'm going to do it, and sometimes you can't find whole briskets, but if I'm going to do it, I like to just get a whole brisket. And there's competition styles, a whole nother ball game. Like, that's a whole nother podcast talking about competition.
Slice it pencil thin.
You need to inject it. And you need to do all these things because the people that you're going up against competition style are doing all these things too. And if you don't do it, it's like your sister-in-law. She's like, this was over whipped. You'll be able to tell, like, oh, you didn't inject this. It's super dry or not, doesn't taste beefy enough or whatever. So, yeah.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to Dirty Girl.
Yeah, Dirty Girl.
What is the relationship between Dirty Girl and RECTEQ? Because whenever I see Dirty Girl, I see RECTEQ and vice versa.
So Dirty Girl is the sister company of RECTEQ.
Alrighty.
So Ray Carnes and Dave Hopkins own the company, it's my understanding. Mm-hmm. And so they're like our sister company. So anything, RECTEQ can do to help promote them and get them going, and we're totally happy to do. But they are kicking butt right now.
Yeah, they are.
They really are.
Yeah, at the RECTEQ Fest. Shout out RECTEQ Fest.
Shout out RECTEQ
here in
Fest.
Evans, Georgia.
That's right.
We got to go this year, and it was a blast, by the way.
So glad you had fun.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I tried to get everybody to go, but yeah, they're sampling this transfusion, and I'd seen a lot about it, just between like your late night munchies, people having it, and so on and so forth. It's got a good color to it, and I gotta try it.
It's delicious, right?
Yeah, and they held out on us until like 1 or 2 or something like that, and I was like, come on, I'm trying to drink something.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's delicious. Perfect blend of grape juice, ginger ale, and locally distilled Second City Distillery vodka. Excellent.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic drink. Super easy drinking.
Mm-hmm. It'll sneak up on you. There's 7% alcohol by volume, 12-ounce cans, 2 drinks per can. It's good.
You know, it's funny. While I was pouring this, so obviously y'all can't hear or see this, but I had dumped way too much of the first can in one, so I had to open up a single. So you're drinking like a drink and a half, so I apologize.
I'm not mad at you.
All right.
No,
Good.
not
Yeah, I'm not either. I had a rough day at work, man.
No, the Dirty Girls did a great job with the design of the can, too. Actually, funny story, the Augusta National kind of reached out to them and were like, hey, guys, we love your can, but it kind of is close to like encroaching on copyright infringements with that flag. So if you guys could like change that flag, we'd really appreciate it. I don't even think they changed it there yet.
No, it's just a yellow flag. I mean, come on.
Yeah, we know that's the Augusta National. They're all yellow flagged up.
Yeah, I can't talk smack because I don't want to get banned.
Yeah, don't get banned.
I
don't
got
get
to go
banned.
once, so now I'm like, all right, I need to be on the best behavior.
That's right. Don't get banned by
So,
me. Yeah,
Augusta
yeah.
National, if for whatever reason you're listening,
We'll
I'm
switch.
impartial on
Yeah,
this.
we're going to switch the can, Augusta. If you're listening to Augusta National, we are in the middle of switching the can, okay?
Yeah.
No worries.
Have you gotten to go yet?
To the Masters?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You can't be live in Augusta without have gone at least once.
Did you golf at all beforehand?
Yes. Yeah, I like to golf. I'm not very good. Know the rules, have the dress code, have the clubs, have the balls. But, yeah, I'm not really good at it. But definitely love getting out there with my buddies, drinking some beers,
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Oh, it's an awesome time.
Yeah.
I love golf, and it's something I've been playing for forever. I actually played competitively a little bit in high school.
So you're good.
Well, I wouldn't say good. It's been a while since I played for the club, man. But, yeah, I got to go, and that course, and this is what I tell people who don't golf, and that's why I asked, regardless if you don't golf or not, or if you golf or not, it's an event. It's such like a spectacular thing. Yeah. Everything is thought of. Everything's immaculate. Bags are green, so in case they flow off, you don't see them on the cameras.
Nope.
Oh my! Everything is thought of. The bathrooms, and this is one of my favorite things. You go to the bathroom. There's some guy saying front nine, back nine, pointing to the different toilets.
That's right.
As soon as you're done, there's a guy cleaning it. Everything is expedited.
Yeah, it's so nice. They have it down to an art form.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Even the way that you could shop with the Pro Shop and stuff like that, they've really done an excellent job. The new area that they built out there too was awesome. I can't remember the name of it right now.
On the other side of Washington Road, that big white hotel or whatever. I don't know what it is.
I think it's their media department.
Oh, all right.
I think
it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Well, you got to think too. They had, but you remember what it looked like before? They had like a whole bunch of like ESPN truck would be out there, CBS truck would be out there. So now I think they have all those guys behind the gates in that one building, which I'm not sure, but that's what I heard.
Everything's thought of, man. We got to get you there to cook the champions.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If they let me in, hey, Augusta National, if you want a celebrity chef to come in, I'm totally available for Masters Week to come in and cook the champions dinner for sure.
Chef Johnny's cooking octopus.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Although I think that the golfer gets to choose. I could be wrong on that.
No, you're right. He does get to choose.
Yeah. So, interesting. Yeah. All right. So, of the RECTEQ lineup, this is just a random fireball question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite one?
I love them all. They all have a special place, and they all could do something awesome. But my favorite one is going to be the RT340, which is like our second smallest grill.
Mm-hmm. Is the 340 the square inches?
Yes, that's how many. Yep, that's how many square inches are on the inside.
All right.
It has collapsible, foldable legs. It can run off of an inverter on your truck. Honda generator. It's like the tailgater. It's perfect for like putting the tailgate down on your truck, and it sits there with the legs collapsed. It's easy to cook off of. It's my favorite grill. It gets hot really quick because it's so small. And it uses the same components as the RT700 or RT590. The recovery time, like when you open the lid, all that heat just dumps out.
Yeah.
So the recovery time on that thing, because it's so small, it recovers a lot faster than the other grills. So I love it. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite.
I'm gonna have to get one now. Yeah, I'm trying to get my sister-in-law to get one, so that way.
Yeah, we'll have to get you one. How can you gotta have a grill?
I gotta get one. I know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you one. Just come up and see me at work, and we'll hook you up.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
All right. At work, this is one of the questions, and this is more comical than anything.
Okay.
The Late Night Munchies song. Mm-hmm. Who came up with that?
All right. So, Matt Acosta, the guy who really got me the job. He and I came up with the song, really. So all of our other shows have an intro, like they have a cool little like video musical intro. It's really cool. So Late Night Munchies is the only one that does it. And I kind of felt left out. And I was like, man, I need to come up with an intro song that I can sing that's got to be good. And, I'll sing it every show. And that was like, you're really going to sing it every... I was like, yeah, I'll sing it every show. I'm not scared.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
He's owning it.
That's right. So we just started listening to music and we like revamped some like people's songs. I think the original song for Late Night Munchies was, I think it was that Led Zeppelin song. Dun 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 dun. And I switched it up to this is the show where Chef John cooks a meal at his home. John at home. John at home. Chef. And that was the original Late Night Munchies. Yeah. And then it switched to we were listening to Willie Nelson, right? And we were what's the name of the song? I can't think of it now.
Is it one of the big popular ones?
Yeah. His
On the Road Again?
No. Midnight Rider. And I was like, Matt, this is it. I was like, we could switch up a couple words and this will be the song. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah. So we played with it for a little while and that's how it ended up. That's the new song for Late Night Munchies.
Can't let them get the Late Night Munchies.
That's it.
That's hilarious.
The day is done. The moon is rising, man. And I'm down to keep on grinding. I got America getting hungry, but not go catch the Late Night Munchies. Yeah.
That's so clever,
That's
man.
me.
That's so clever. Wow. All right. So normally when I wrap things up, we're coming up on an hour here.
Okay.
Normally when I wrap things up, I ask a question that's, for the nation, if there's one thing that you would want to leave as your legacy, what would that be? Now that's a heavy, I've learned now that's a heavy question and I can't ask people because then they sit there and they're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to change it up a little bit. For the nation out there, if y'all are thinking about being a chef.
Yes.
Or going into culinary arts.
Yes.
Whatever that may be. What is something that you've learned along the way and you would share as a piece of advice to someone who is thinking about getting into cooking?
If you're thinking about getting into cooking, my advice to you would be just know that, you're not going to graduate from culinary school. Well, 1% of you guys are going to graduate from culinary school and get the job that you dreamed about getting before you went to culinary school. Mm-hmm. The rest of you guys, the 99% of you guys that graduate from culinary school are going to be grinding it out in restaurants that you didn't necessarily want to work at. And you're just trying to do something with your degree, trying to stay in your field. And you're going to wonder, did I make a mistake?
Yeah.
This isn't what I thought it was going to be. But I promise you, if you have an aptitude for it and you have a passion for it, stick it out, ride it out. And don't stay anywhere for too long. Stay someplace 2.5 years and then get out and go underneath another chef. And you really, after the first 5-6 years, you're going to learn a lot of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the time coming on the show. That's awesome words of wisdom. Y'all heard him. Is there anything that you want to plug?
Yeah, guys, make sure you follow me on all social media. I am Chef John Pannell. It's ChefJohnPannell. Just type that in any social media. You'll see my big, brown, beautiful face pop up and just hit follow. You will not be disappointed. Make sure you guys follow me on my shows. I have a show at 4 o'clock on Facebook, RECTEQ's Facebook page. It's called on Mondays. It's called Backyard and Beyond. It's a good time. I usually cook once a month. I go beyond somewhere and cook somewhere at someone's house or at some venue or something like that. It's pretty cool. And then on Thursday nights at 11 o'clock on RECTEQ's Instagram page, I have Late Night Munchies. So definitely tune into that. I'm usually cooking something sweet up at RECTEQ late night.
Highly recommend that one.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Highly recommend it. Is there any deals that RECTEQ's throwing around right now?
Yeah, right now, if you go to recteq.com and you purchase either an RT 700 or an RT 2500, you get $100 off an RTB 380. That's the bullseye. It's a great companion grill for either one of those grills because it gets really hot. So you can you could reverse sear on any of the grills. It's just on a plain 700, but it's nice to already have that grill hot, the bullseye hot. You can go from a nice smoke on the 700 to an extreme heat on the bullseye. Yeah, so it's super nice. So right now that deal's going on. Plus you could pick up 200 pounds of all-American hardwood pellets for $149. We have a pellet package going on right now. So definitely check that out at recteq.com.
Jeez. All right, y'all heard him. Get to rectec.com. Again, Chef John.
Thank you so much. No, thank you for having me.